Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another Teachable Moment with Dr. Mekia Troy. We'll be right back with Dr. Troy's message, but we do want to acknowledge our sponsors very quickly. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I don't mind having them on our podcast at all. You should be using them too. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs. This is the Educational AD Podcast and Teachable Moment with Dr. Mekia Troy. We'll be right back. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support of the podcast. Go to their website, vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. They're a great way to showcase your school record boards for all the teams or your school's Hall of Fame, or simply share your school's proudest moments. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that let them coach our kids up to their highest level. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to say thanks to Gipper, the official social media graphics solution for the podcast. And if you go to Gipper.com, their team is going to show you how to create world-class content that'll let you promote your teams and celebrate your athletes. Gipper's used and trusted by over 3,000 athletic programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. Go to Gipper.com. Get started today. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Their products not only generate income for your department, they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Hometown is digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, and more customization. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. We also want to say thank you to Snap Raise. Go to snapraise.com and check out the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success, and so will you. They also have a lot of other platforms like Snap Manage, Snap Sponsor, FanX. You can find it all at snapraise.com. That's snapraise.com. We want to say thanks to Home Campus for their support. Home Campus is the official high school and state association management platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for things like scheduling, athletic clearance and eligibility, and all the things that go with that, tracking coaches, working with parents. I use Home Campus every single day as an athletic director. You're going to love it too. Go to homecampus.com, talk to their team, and get started today. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that will let you take the pulse of your parents and student athletes. They're going to connect you with the complainers. They're also going to connect you with the vast majority of your parents and students that really love and support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another Teachable Moment on the Educational AD Podcast. We do these every week with Dr. Mekia Troy. She's a certified master athletic administrator. She's the athletic director at Creekside High School, and that's up in Georgia. Very active at the state and at the national level. Dr. Dr. Troy, we all just got back from the national conference, but still a great time to pick up some professional development. So, what do you have for listeners this week on Teachable Moment?
Well, sure. Thanks again for having me, Jake. Well, I am a proud graduate of Berry College in Rome, Georgia. Many folks might not know of Berry College, but if you ever watched Remember the Titans and you saw Gettysburg College, that was actually us. Gettysburg College was fictional, but that was our campus, and I happened to be a student during that time it was being filmed. But either way, at Berry, it was a part of our school's mission to educate the head, heart, and hands. And the idea of doing annual service projects was, I mean, it was more than an idea. It's what everybody did. You just kind of fall into line when you get there because it's really instilled so much in us. And as a student athlete, we were expected to do a little bit more, but it was fine. There was a program called Athletes Bettering Their Community. And it allowed us as athletes to be involved in different groups to go around and do different service projects throughout the community. And we work together with a combination of athletes. So not just with our own teams, but a mixture of different sports together. And I knew that when I became a coach, and then later now an athletic director, that I wanted to still have that done somehow on the high school level. And it's something that has really been a big part of what I've done here as an athletic administrator. It's an opportunity for our student athletes to see the difference that they can make in their communities and the support they can give that's beyond just what they do on the field or on the court, but just building the spirit of giving back, showing what they can do to impact their communities. And it's interesting that when you get to the collegiate level, for those that do, they'll get the opportunity most times to do some of those same things. So why not? We train them up to get to that point in high school as athletes in their participation in their skill development. Why not build this as well? There'll be no concern for playing time if you are getting everybody involved in a service project, because at least they'll get that. So even if they don't go on to compete collegiately, they will have some of those experiences that we hope will carry over into how they live their lives. But for those who do, you get to see, now we're in bowl season now. And when you look around at the college football landscape, even with any of the larger bowls, you're going to see teams that go out and visit children's hospitals, or they're building playgrounds or houses, or working in soup kitchens, but it's a part of what they do. So I think that we have an opportunity to do the same thing on the high school level, to make sure that our students have these opportunities to experience what's called service learning. We often hear community service, which is, what we're used to hearing it called. However, service learning, when you think about it that way, you're actually showing the student athletes what it is they're getting, what is the value from what it is they're participating in, so that it's more than just an obligation to just, do some charity. This is really an opportunity to teach them to use these opportunities as a teachable moment for those student athletes as they participate. Even as you consider this new world of NIL that we've got impacting our sports, I've got to believe that some of these larger brands within their corporate social responsibility initiatives are going to be tapping into our student athletes for that as well. So why not give them that chance to get their feet wet with it now, so they're ready to go, and maybe even something that helps them when they get to the next level to say, hey, this is what I've done in my high school. How can I do that with your company? It could be a great thing that we see happen for some of our student athletes in a different way than just, some of the general NIL information that you see going out there. For us here at Creekside, we annually work with the Special Olympics. Our county Special Olympics is something that we've been a part of for about a decade now. And it gives an opportunity for our student athletes to come together to work with a variety of sports throughout the year as volunteers. And just to see them work together, regardless of their teammates, regardless of sports, and just get involved with those students and, helping them, encouraging them, even with the whole setup and breakdown of some of the events. They get a chance to see logistically what it's like to run an event. So they get to see some of the event management that I have to deal with for their sports by participating as volunteers with our Special Olympics program throughout our school district. But it's been great for our students to participate and to have something to put on even their college applications to show that this is something they've done and been a part of. And our years now of experience are actually the foundation for my CMAA project, just showing how much this service learning, these opportunities for our student athletes and for our coaches have impacted what we do here in our athletic department. So I would encourage all athletic directors to have something in place to help not just your individual teams, because sometimes teams do this on their own, but as a department, if there's a way for you to find an initiative that you can support to actually show how you can teach your student athletes through service projects, I think it's a great thing. So they can see there's much more to what we do here as student athletes and coaches. There's much bigger things out there than just, the X's, the O's, the wins and losses. There's a lot more to life than that. And I believe that in service projects, get an opportunity to show that.
No, I would echo that 100%. Obviously, I'm much older than you. And so I've got some kids that are no longer, or student athletes that are no longer student athletes. But I'll run into them, and invariably, we'll talk about, that game or that big win. But just as frequently, maybe even more frequently, they'll say, "Hey, remember when and it was, a home visit, or it was a service project, or something we did for the community, or something on campus." And it's just hard to describe how impactful those types of experiences are. You did a great job, though, to somebody who has not done it. So, coaches, if you're listening and you haven't done something in a service mode with your teams, really encourage you to check it out, and talk to your faculty, talk to your admin, talk to your school board, and say, hey, is there a project? Is there a group where we can help out? The helping out is why you're doing it, but a nice benefit is all of a sudden that faculty member, that administrator, that school board member is looking at you and your program in maybe a little bit different way, a better way. So, very, very cool stuff. Dr. Troy, I'm going to put you on the spot. Since you've been at Creekside, can you think of an experience that a team or an individual had where, it got back to you, kind of that wow experience? And maybe not even from the student athletes, maybe it's from a parent or the community member that you were helping. Anything stick out for you that you can share real quick?
Wow, there's a few things stick out. One was seeing a student that volunteers with us. Well, this is some years back, but he participated in an event early in the school year, and he just kind of connected with a younger student that was participating in the Special Olympics, and they were really connected. They had fun throughout the sessions, and then when we went to the next event, the student didn't couldn't go with us to the event. By the time we got to the third event of that year, and that young man participated again, and the students saw him back as a volunteer, you would have thought that his best friend had come back to town. It was so great to see the young student that was so excited to see this high school volunteer that for whatever reason he just latched on to, and it made him feel so important throughout that day. That just seeing, I know what it meant to the high school student, but just seeing it, the fact that he remembered and it just impacted him, I'm sure that young man, no matter where he is, still remembers that experience. Yeah, so anytime we get to see the students start to recognize our volunteers, even when they come back the next school year and that kind of thing, that's always big for me. I enjoy that tremendously because they're excited, the students excited, and it seems like they just try harder because their new friend is watching.
And that's such a great point. It's the the helping the event, that's a part of it. For the individual student athletes that are participating, it's their experience, but it's those connections that they can make that you just can't do any other way. Great stuff. Great lesson for all of us. Dr. Troy, as always, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and connect with you, maybe find out a little bit more about the hows, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Right. Hey, you can shoot me an email, drtroyme@gmail.com, or same on my social media handle at drtroyme.
Okay. Dr. Mekia Troy, thanks so much for sharing, as always. Heading into the holidays, hope you get some time to rest and recover. And we'll look forward to your next segment on the Educational AD podcast.
All right. Thanks so much. Happy holidays to you.
For our listeners, we do this every single Thursday, and we also upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Once again, we appreciate you listening. Come back next Thursday for another teachable moment, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We will see you next time, and happy holidays. Once again, I really encourage you to try and set up a community service. I love that expression, the head, the heart, the hands. You're really, and your team is really going to benefit from it. Before we go, as always, we want to thank all of our sponsors, Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. That's athleticsurveys.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. You'll find them at sidelineinteractive.com. Home Campus, the official State Association management platform for the podcast. Go to homecampus.com for more information. We want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com. Change the way that you see the game. Thank you to all of our good friends at Snap Raise, the best online fundraiser out there. Go to snapraise.com. I'd like to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen consoles. And hometownticketing.com. If you didn't know, they're the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com for more information. And last but certainly not least, our good friends at Gipper. Go to gipper.com. Start creating world-class content for your school's social media channel. Thanks again for listening to this week's Teachable Moment. We'll see you next week on the Educational AD Podcast.